Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. How you doing?
Good. For people who only listen to the podcast in audio, we were sticking our tongues out.
We were.
I don't know why.
I don't know why, but you did it to me, so it seemed appropriate for me to return the favor.
Okay. Someone pointed out recently, I said how cold it was in our house during the winter.
Yes.
And they said, oh, in the podcast, that's why your coffees are always steamy.
I think our most anticipated movie of 2024 was Dune 2.
Dune 2.
We were excited. I mean, there are other movies that were very
not.
well. There are other movies that Tracy is much more excited to see than Dune 2. Twisters. You saw the trailer for Twisters.
Uh-huh.
Does it look as good as the original trailer for Twister to you?
Does it as good as the trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It does not look like it's going to be as good a film. Mm-hmm. But whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a Twister.
It's got that one guy in it, and I have no idea what his name is yet. He's a big star because he was in Top Gun. Okay. But I don't know his name yet.
He's like the Iceman.
Yes, but I don't know his name yet.
It's like the other guy in Maverick. I don't really know his name either. I think maybe it's generational too. Mm-hmm. Like the guy who's like Goose's son.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that guy's name.
Well, no, that's we did know his name though. Miles Teller. That was it.
Miles Teller. Man, The Offer. If you haven't seen The Offer,
oh my God,
what's your life like?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. It's about the making of The Godfather.
It is incredible, and
it's like a year or two old. Probably 2 years old.
No. Yeah, it's probably even older than that, but
it was amazing.
Just a murderer's row of cast, and it was just absolutely incredible.
I really hope that's the story of the making of The Godfather.
Well,
so check that out.
Some of it is, I know.
Dune 2. I was not that excited to see it because,
you were not.
And I have really put in the hours to try to finish the first Dune.
I don't believe you.
I even recently, after I saw Dune 2,
I understand that.
I tried to watch Dune
and you were
again.
Enjoying it. You were like saying, because you watched it again after, or tried to watch it again after seeing Dune 2, and you were
seeing things.
This ties into this, and this ties into this, and this, that. And I was like, oh, she's getting it. Oh, okay. She's finally understanding the wonder of Dune 1. And then she gave up on it again.
But you know what? I watched all of the 1984 Dune.
Yes, we did do that.
Because that shit is so weird. But honestly, had they not lit that thing so much,
yeah,
it would have stood up the test of time
there
a little bit better.
There are some things in the 1984 Dune that are fascinating and incredibly creative and incredibly just expansive and just weird. I mean, when you get to all the folding of space and the worm things floating up and all that stuff, I mean, it's crazy. To me, that movie is a victim of terrible casting. As much as I love David Lynch, because David Lynch is nuts. He's out of his fucking mind. He is a total original mind. He's not good at casting. His version of a great actor is so much, I feel like, wrapped up in what they look like.
Okay.
That he loses sometimes, performance, and I also think he loves a very affected feel to his films. You take something like Crybaby or something like that.
Very affected.
Very affected.
The lead in Twin Peaks.
Yes, Kyle MacLachlan.
No, he's in that too. He's in Dune too.
Sheryl Lee.
No, Sherilyn Fenn.
Sherilyn Fenn. No.
No, the one who plays the dead girl. Laura Palmer. She plays Laura Palmer.
Yeah.
She's not good. No. She's bad.
No, she's not. They're sort of angelic. They have an aura about them. And I think that's kind of what David Lynch really is looking for, is aura. I mean, going all the way back to his first film, Eraserhead, really starts that it has just this mood to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's heavy, it's dark, it's weird.
No, and the gravity of his films all tend to be the same. Yeah. But
my favorite of his is by far Lost Highway. That's my favorite.
I know you love that.
I love Lost Highway.
I love Wild at Heart.
Oh well, ooh, boy, you want to talk about affected performances? Holy shit!
Laura Dern and Nick Cage are really good.
But Nick Cage goes nuts in that movie.
Well, he goes nuts in Peggy Sue Got Married too.
Yeah,
so.
He does. Yeah, I mean, Nick Cage is a force of nature. Okay,
and
Dune.
he always pulls it off.
Let's go back to Dune 2.
Okay.
See the movie in RPX.
We saw it, and it was like RPX, and it had rumble seats. I don't know if that's true of all RPX. I have no idea.
Well, I think that's the point of RPX.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, the rumbly seats, they really add like real. I mean, they're picking up on all the bass elements, of course, in the mix,
Right.
but they really add like this intensity like change the vibe of just watching it. And sometimes I was like, no, don't rumble.
No, it feels like you're like watching a movie on a subway. It's like
Well, there's like two spots. One where he rides the worm for the first time.
Yeah.
And another
incredible scene.
They're shooting off atomic bombs, basically. Mm-hmm. And I asked my friend, I was like, so in the rumble seats, right, during those two scenes, was the movie basically trying to give us an orgasm? Because that's a lot of rumbling in the seat area. I thought, well, this is going to change the game for chick flicks,
Yeah.
Because, they're going to be like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan and then... So, Dune 2.
Masterpiece.
Well,
I loved it.
I didn't want
It's
to
it's now one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time.
Dude, for sci-fi, I'm still like, is there actually a lot of story here? Because everybody always tells me there's a lot of story, but it doesn't feel like a lot of story. It feels like a lot of the same things happen over and over.
It's about politics. It's about religion. It's about the cult of personality. It's about family. It's about everything.
Yeah, this is what I hear. But I just really appreciated the spectacle, the science fiction.
The casting of Dune 2 was so incredible.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson is turning into one of my favorite actresses.
Really?
I love Rebecca Ferguson. Well, okay. I mean, the thing that jumps out immediately with her is her as Rose the Hat in Dr. Sleep. That performance, it lives in my brain somewhere.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Sexy and evil. Evil and sexy.
I love Dr. Sleep.
Oh, yeah, me too. And then she just is so interesting and so kind of weird and she's very, very funny in like interviews. And her character is like the most fucked up Madonna ever. But what's so interesting to me about the whole concept of Dune 2 is you can't tell the difference between what is actual prophecy and what is people making up shit.
I think it's,
so that they can.
It's probably the most accurate portrayal of religion.
It is.
The Bene Gesserit women have basically created this prophecy, thinking, we'll create this prophecy where a dude rules, because we're never going to have dudes. Mm-hmm. We're like the ones who are getting pregnant by these royal, basically like royal houses.
The royal bloodlines, yeah.
The royal bloodlines. And we're the ones, and we can control whether it's a boy or girl, and we're just always going to have girls, so the prophecy is never fulfilled, and we can just control people with it.
Right.
And it's like, Yeah, Christianity. And somebody in the movie even says, well, this is stupid because it's just something that they give you a prophecy so you have something to believe in so that they can screw you over in every other way and control you. I'm not talking about spirituality. I'm talking about an allegory for religion.
Religion.
Organized religion.
Yeah, I mean, one could say that the Bene Gesserit are like the Illuminati or the Catholic Church. I mean, however you want to put it, they kind of are over everything and pulling all the strings. There's a really good line. Rebecca Ferguson's character says you picked the wrong side, and the Bene Gesserit head nun, says there are no sides, and I'm like, okay, that's the problem right there.
Well, and she says the thing like, there's nothing that doesn't happen without a plan.
Right, you're right.
Like, there's no...
We make plans.
Yeah, we make plans.
Right. In other words, they're not... In their mind, they leave nothing...
It's not just happening.
Nothing to chance.
Yeah.
There's no possibility of chaos coming into it. This is what we plan. And if we plan far enough ahead...
Yeah.
We can actually predict the results.
But in a way, like their making of the prophecy they're manifesting the prophecy.
Right.
Because they did that.
They're totally delusional.
Yeah.
They're totally delusional.
And I don't know if they're corrupt, but they're definitely...
Oh, they're definitely corrupt.
I don't know
my
if
God, they're so corrupt.
I mean, in the sense that they are just manipulating everything so that they remain in control.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know if, they did kill off a whole bloodline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty corrupt,
But
man.
they said we made the bloodlines.
Right. So, if we made them, then we can kill them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy.
Javier Bardem, unbelievable. Austin Butler just kind of walks in about 2/3 the way through the movie and then is just like, what the hell is this? I mean, he was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He really... He went for it. I mean, it was not a small performance.
No.
But I think it really worked. It was in character.
It was.
And he was playing the Sting character.
Yes, the Sting character, who's pretty ridiculous in the other movie.
Yeah. Well, in the 84 Dune, it's funny because everything is more
I will kill you.
Caricature. Yeah, it's
more
caricature.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the 84 Dune does have some interesting things, and a lot of the visuals are really taken from there. And so, and I mean, originally from the books, I think Lynch landed on some sort of visual, for the worms and stuff.
Right.
They're very similar.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, the special effects have, exponentially grown.
Well, when they didn't overly light things in the special effects, I thought they still looked pretty damn good. And they did a thing where
certain angles, like when they were climbing up the side in the 84 Dune of the worms, that looked terrible.
Well, it just looked like they were climbing up a wall in a soundstage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was bad.
But in Dune 2, they don't even show you how that many people get on a worm.
No, that's true.
They just skip that part. We're gonna this whole 20 people are gonna ride on a worm. Oh, we're on a worm. They don't show you that.
She's even in a basket, so it's it reminded me of in India where everybody's riding on top of the train.
Yeah.
And the train's going like a bat out of hell, and she was in a basket. And I'm just like, man, who had the job of trying to get the basket up on the worm?
Several people.
That was a bitch right there.
I was like, how in the hell are they controlling them? But evidently, your brother said, because he's very into Dune, they lift up a flap on the worm, and that exposes these little breathe holes, so they can't go back under the sand.
There you go.
Or they would drown in sand.
It was amazing. Our Dune is Girl in the Palms.
I'm not using that.
You're not using that as a transition? Don't use that as a transition.
Well, now that it's funny, I can use it as a transition.
You know what makes it funny is your disdain, your disgust, the bile in your response. That's what made it funny. So Girl in the Palms comes out, and, people are, excited about it and talking about it. And we're hearing back from people. We get a review.
Yeah, Film Threat did a review. And I really don't care if reviews are good or bad, because I made you watch my movie. So who cares? But they really pointed out a lot of the visuals. I mean, we shot some really beautiful things. In my opinion, if you're a cinematographer and if you've done a good job, like in pre-pro, and you found some really cool things to shoot, like what time of day you want to be there,
right,
stuff like that, like show up to something beautiful and shoot it.
And I've never even thought about this before, but hear me out here. That movie is probably the most Lynchian thing that we've ever made.
Yeah, probably.
Just the way that the characters are in their own little worlds. They're having their own little, adventures. And one of the films that was very much a inspiration was Spring Breakers. We really loved the Technicolor, the neon of Florida that Spring Breakers had. The part of Spring Breakers that I wasn't interested in emulating was sort of the crazy depravity, and boobs and guns and
I like that part.
Well, it's great for the movie. It's just not something that I'm going to be doing. But James Franco's best performance. James Franco can die tomorrow, and I will always love him for Spring Breakers.
We were like, holy crap!
Right.
Film Threat's cool.
Yeah, I know Film Threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
they're like the Walmart of movie
reviews.
reviews.
Well, yeah, they do really big films, and then they do sort of a little bit medium-sized films. They don't usually do something as intimate and as small as our films.
Something as independent and small as our films.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I get that, but I guess they did. But they said something funny. Girl in the Palms is a powerful testament to a female empowerment.
Right.
And it says, it works well as such, despite being preachy in spots.
Oh!
It's on the nose enough that those who dislike that message will call it woke feminist propaganda.
Oh! Woke feminist propaganda, folks! Yes.
The message, however, is crucial, and more of this kind of storytelling is needing until the tables are finally turned.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So if you're like, an asshole guy, this might make you mad, because it's going to say, hey, guess what? You're acting like an asshole.
You're an asshole. Yes.
Right. But no, if it comes off like woke feminist propaganda, I'm really proud of that.
No, I am so happy.
I'm proud of
about that.
The reviewer says, at the core, this is a fully human story of grief, healing, learning, and repairing mistakes made in the past.
That's
Luna
beautiful.
Is a young woman on the cusp of embracing her identity and moving into the world with power. The appeal is universal.
Oh.
Cheers.
Hell yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. We did that.
I want to remind people, like, this film is out in the world. People are buying it.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Vudu. And
it's on Film Threat. But remember,
Apple TV.
John crying on the front porch.
Weeping.
Because he lost the funding for another film.
Yes.
Okay, so...
I care about this shit, folks!
No, but I just want to say, like, that's really important to remember.
Yes.
That even in those times where you're just like, my life has fallen apart.
I'm taking my pill.
Like, the things that you start to put your energy to, the things that you're creating are the things that you're going to be able to sit here and feel really great because you got an awesome review.
That's true. That's true.
It came out of that.
It did. The creation process is, for me, it's such a process of like renewal. It's like nutrients to my soul. Yesterday I was, Tracy was like, "Hey, are you gonna work on that web series again?"
Hey, do you remember you were gonna
you were gonna do that web series? You remember you said you were gonna do that?
Well,
and Tracy has to do that with me sometimes to get me to actually sit down in front of the blank computer and start writing again. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful, feeling of renewal to get back into that.
Well, the thing that I want to see us work harder on is not needing prompting and living in that state of renewal more, like all the time.
It's true. I don't know what it is. I mean, do
you still feel like
we're descended from apes, but sometimes it feels more like we're descended from frogs. And a frog will sit there until you poke it with a stick, and then it will move.
Like when you're sitting there writing and it feels great and it's all coming out of you.
Right.
And then you stop and you walk away and you turn back into a frog. Mm-hmm. What is the thing that turns you into a frog? Like, what is really there?
I don't know. I mean, I guess a sense of comfortability, because you have to live in the uncomfortable when you're sitting in front of the computer. But
why is that uncomfortable?
Well, probably for the first half hour.
Here's the thing.
Yesterday, I was just kind of wallowing around in ideas and trying to figure out what was going to happen next.
I want to understand, like, why do we as human beings, why do we code things negatively when they're not, when it's a part of a process?
I'm not coding it negatively.
No, but like you're saying you're wallowing. I don't think you would be wallowing if it was joyous. You wouldn't say wallowing.
I mean, pigs wallow in mud.
Exactly,
I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to wallow.
But you say it's uncomfortable. Okay, but really what is it though? Because discomfort is something you would feel like if you're very hot or if you're very cold, you might feel uncomfortable. If there's something going on with you physically, you're talking to someone, that frightens you and it makes you uncomfortable and sweaty.
Right.
These are feelings of uncomfortable.
Right.
But like, what are you really feeling? Mm-hmm. Are you calling it uncomfortable? Because it might just be unsure.
Sure.
It might just be empty.
I think that feeling of unsure is
But that's the real feeling.
It is.
See, unsure.
You're also unsure if what you're writing is any good.
Well, and you can look at, so we went from uncomfortable. We unpacked uncomfortable to be really unsure. Mm-hmm. You're unsure if anything that you're going to come up with is going to be worth anything.
Right.
Okay? You're unsure.
That's
not a physically negative uncomfortable situation.
It's not just that you're unsure of that what you are going to write is going to be any good. You're also unsure of what you are writing and what you have written is going to be any good.
Okay, great.
Right.
Great. So, but what I'm saying is when you go from something that creates a physical reaction in your mind, uncomfortable, that's a physical sensation. You go to unsure. Well, that's a mental sensation.
Correct.
Okay, you don't feel unsure in your body.
Right.
You might feel trepidatious or scared or something like that, but unsure.
Right.
So then you're like, oh, this is a feeling I'm having in my mind.
Correct.
That means what? I'm creating it.
Of course.
If it's in my mind and it's not a cup or it's not a table,
right,
I'm the one creating it.
Right.
So I'm creating unsure. So what if I say, guess what? I don't give a fuck. Sure. I'm just going to do this thing.
Well, and that's kind of where you always land.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, can we as human beings
can we land at I don't
accurate?
Can we land at I don't give a fuck before we're actually sitting in front of the screen?
Take a minute. Actually, don't just say to yourself like, "Oh, I'm tired," or "Oh, I'm scared." Are you? Is there a tiger behind you? Are you actually experiencing scared, or are you experiencing a more nuanced thing? Mm-hmm. And if you are, can you acknowledge that you're creating it?
Right.
And if you're creating it, can you not do that anymore?
Yeah, I think that's
and
true.
can we just get to something, get that stuff out of the way faster? It's important to acknowledge it. Yeah, sure. I have no idea if what I'm about to do is even worth the time I'm going to take to do it. That's great. You can acknowledge that, but it doesn't have to create a withholding.
I like what you say. I would like to subscribe to your pamphlet.
Well, it's not a pamphlet. Eventually I do want to have my own cult.
I love it. Let's do it. Absolutely. I think the closest thing we're ever going to get to Dune in our career and in our lives is someday, Lord willing, the movie Origian gets made.
Yes.
And let's get to the edit of Origian.
Yeah, this is part 9.
Part 9. Oh, man.
Part 9.
Something that I am always excited about is that whenever you get to double digits, because once you get to double digits,
You're probably never
you're
going to get out
never
of
going to
them.
get out of them.
Yeah, like your age, once you turn like 10.
That's it. You're never out of double digits, man.
Very few people are.
Unless you get to 100 and then you get on a Good Morning America on a Smucker's jar.
Yeah, on a Smucker's jar. I remember whenever we were making films, and it was like we had finished 9 and we were going into 10, and you said double digits.
Double digits.
We're never going to get out of double digits.
Never going to get out of them. No.
And it was like, now we're in like 20 something.
Yes.
And
well, 20 of our own. I mean, if you think about all the other films for other people,
we might get into double digits in that regard.
No, I still don't think we're going to get into triple digits, but we're
not triple.
We're probably in 60 or 70, different film projects we work with other people, but 20 of our own. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to it.
Interior, Emmeline's room night. Emmeline and her sister are laying on her bed looking at Origian brand clothing on her tablet.
Bettina. Oh, God. This is hideous. Who wants clothes with this stupid logo all over them? Here, you can have this.
Bettina hands Emmeline the gift card. Emmeline, he gave me the components.
Well, I don't want it.
I don't want it either.
Maybe Robbie wants it.
She picks him up.
Can we teach him to shop?
Emmeline, yeah. You think they'll let me bring him?
Where?
Space.
You want to go?
I want to find a new planet with nothing but robots. I'd be the first person to talk to them. I'd walk right up to them and say, I'm Emmeline Ride from Earth.
That's right. You would. Have you told Mom and Dad that?
That would make them sad.
Don't you think keeping you from something you want would make them sad too?
I don't know how to think about that.
If you really want them to know how you feel, I'll help you. But is this really what you want?
It's what I've always wanted.
Bettina shuts the door of the bedroom, and we can see their shadows underneath the door moving around.
Interior, Ride's kitchen day. The entire Ride family is sitting down together for breakfast. They have a hodgepodge of odd dishware and silverware because most of what they own is packed up. They're having cereal, eggs, and frozen waffles.
Jeff, do we have any hot sauce?
Grace, in a box. Bettina, I really need you to help your sister this weekend to pack up her room. Emmeline, we're very much leaving. First thing Monday. We have to be ready.
Bettina, sure, Mom. Whatever you say. Jeff, I think we should try and get one more family swim in today before I have to close up the pool.
Grace, I don't know if we have the time.
Jeff, might be our last pool.
Grace, okay, we'll make it work.
Emmeline, I used jelly on my waffle because the syrup is packed away.
Jeff, that's a great idea. Jelly waffles it is.
Bettina, don't eat it all. I want some too. After breakfast, Emmy and I have a surprise.
Grace, if we're going to get in a swim too, we really have to get to work, guys.
Bettina, we promise it won't be long.
The family finishes their breakfast in grand spirits. All right.
We're on, what, page 29?
Yeah, I think so. 2930. Originally, we broke Origian up into a certain amount of pages. And then we really screwed that up with
Yes.
that 1 week where we had like a post a day.
Yeah, that was
We
that was
to
a crazy way.
15-minute section because the scene was so long.
Yeah,
but
people are like, "Oh my God, we're not watching your damn movie. Stop posting about it."
we're really liking it. We're getting good response. So
Mm-hmm.
we're actually considering doing another script, maybe season 3 script, or maybe just a separate project altogether.
I don't know.
You know,
Crazy things happen. I wanted to point out before we end the show, check out my t-shirt.
I got you that.
I know.
Lloyd Dobler.
Lloyd Dobler. I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to buy anything
I don't
that's
want to
sold.
sell anything, buy anything, or process anything as a career. I don't want to sell anything, bought or processed, or buy anything, sold, bought, or processed, or process anything, sold, bought, or processed, or repair anything.
I remember that when you and I first met, we really bonded over Say Anything.
Yeah.
And
that Melissa Gilbert made for TV movie.
Medicating her? Yes.
It was so funny because like we were just in the car and we were just friends at that point. And there was this overwrought Melissa Gilbert movie that had come on in the 80s.
Okay, folks, I can't even describe this movie. Basically, Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie.
She was abused. She's a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. Okay, and in this movie, she is trying to really change her image. Like, she has sex and shit in this movie, which, I don't need to see that.
She's been abused, and it kind of like comes out in her lawyering of this case.
Right.
And she's like, this guy is like probably abused this kid, and she's like asking.
She's like cross-examining him. Yes.
And she goes, well, why were you touching her there?
Why were you putting ointment on her?
Why were you putting ointment on her down there?
Right.
And he's like, I was medicating her.
She just like almost like jumps at him and like screaming like a banshee from hell.
It was just something that like
it's the most over the top thing you've ever seen.
But in my life, it was something that like I always thought was like so overwrought and funny that it was just something I would say sometimes. Medicating her. And so we were in the car together and just getting to know each other, you know, and something was said, and then I said, and you go, oh my God,
you know that movie? Yes, exactly. No, we take possession of these things. You know, they become ours.
Full circle.
They do. You mean on the podcast?
Yeah, you came full circle.
We should do this for a living.
There's not much of a living here.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow.